Good morning. Now, for weeks, I've been trying to think of a new tarp setup. Obviously, there is only so many ways that you can fold a square sheet. Last night, I think I cracked it, or at least up here. Today, I'm going to test that. Never done it before. I've brought you along to have a look. Success or fail, who knows? I'm going to film it. The first part of the procedure is very much like one of my other setups, where I do a completely enclosed one with a floor and a door. If you haven't seen that video, I'll stick a link up here somewhere to it. The first part is the same. Tarp upside down, so we've got the inside showing here. Peg two corners, straight line, and then going along that side, I'll put in a third peg at the halfway point. Now I'm just going to fold it across. I'm going to take the far corner to that corner and basically make a triangle on the floor here. Now it's time for another peg, a guy line and a walking pole. Now of course if you're in a woodland you can use a stick, doesn't matter. I just find these more convenient because they're so easy to adjust, especially when I'm doing something like this for the first time. You never know quite how it's going to turn out. And the loop I'm going to use is this one. This was where I pegged at the beginning. When it was upside down, I pegged halfway down this side. Now I've folded over into the triangle. I'm going to use the loop that's directly above it. Peg stays where it is. I'm going to use that one. So I'm just going to snap that on there. I've got the pole at full height because I want a bit of room underneath it. Just stick that through the carabiner, stand him up. Now it's a bit of fiddling and adjusting time because I want tension to that far peg and to that halfway peg, like that. Now that walking pole might not be in its sort of final location. It might need a little bit of fettling, who knows. Right, this baggy side here, we'll take him off the hook, because that's just held it in place temporarily. Another guy line. The second walking pole, and this one, you know how they open up like in two sections, the fatter bit and the skinny bit on the end? I've just done the fatter bit on this, not the skinny, so it's about a foot or so shorter, mainly so I'll get a bit of a slope to the roof. I might adjust it, who knows? This is all trial and error. I'm winging it. Tension on him. Right, just straighten that up a bit. Now it's starting to come together. Now, if I had a 5-foot stick, This could be here, this could be much more upright, vertical. You'd have a, you know, a tight side like that. Walking poles aren't that tall. Doesn't really matter, but you know, it's an option. So just to basically take the slack out of this, I'll stick a peg through that corner loop and just go out to a point where it's tensioned, which is probably about there. And of course he finds the hardest bit of floor in the forest. Oh, that'll do. Now it's probably quite usable like that, but it's quite a big span of fabric. It will flap quite a bit if you get the wind on it, and of course eventually work your pegs loose, especially if the ground is soft like it is at the moment. We've had so much rain. So I'm going to stick a bungee on this back loop, and this will essentially not only tension things a little bit, but I'll also gain a small bit of space on the inside. Nothing really significant, but you know, you will notice it. Right, I think that's complete. Let's get inside for a bit of scale for you. I am 6 feet tall, or 180 centimetres, depending what you like to work in. Loads of room. Got plenty of distance there from my feet, probably a couple of feet or so. Same at the head end here. Looking at the shape, I'll probably stick my bag here under that side, keep it nice and dry. That bit of shelter goes out a long way, so it'd be fine, you know, with a small stove, doing some cooking under here, as long as you're not, you know, being silly. You can cook in the dry. That's not bad at all. It's worth putting that bungee on, I think, just to give me a bit of height there. That's all right. That's pretty good. Now, has this sort of shelter got a name? I don't know. I've never done it before, and it is only a modification of a different sort of setup that I do, an enclosed setup. So it might be very familiar to some people. It's just not one that I've used. So next time we have some sort of half decent weather, I might give this a go. The only things I'll do different is I'll put a ground sheet underneath my tarp. Because I don't really like being on the tarp directly on the floor. I don't want to make a hole in it, especially on, you know, woodland floor. On grass is a bit different, but on a woodland floor it's easy to poke a hole. And also, of course, it would extend my sort of dry ground area out a little bit more. So yeah, a ground sheet under it I think would be the way to go. But apart from that, quite happy with it really. If people have seen this before and they know a name for it, drop it in the comments, let me know. It'd be nice to know. I'm sure somebody has done this before. Like I say, there's only so many ways to fold a tarp. It's just something I personally haven't done. Maybe there's one like this, but you know, a little bit different. Like I said, if I had a longer pole here rather than this slope, I could bring this into a more enclosed, more vertical side. Pros and cons, it'd probably keep the wet out a bit more, but I'd lose this space. So, you know, it's one of those sort of adjustable things. The other thing I could do is this point here. I could possibly put a line on that and maybe up to a tree or something like that to gain a bit of extra height under here. It's all a sort of work in progress really, but no, quite happy with this morning's efforts. Thanks for watching. Well, I was just about to take everything down, and I had another thought. This corner was the one I had up on the, the far pole, and it gave me a nice open working area. If the weather's not quite so good, take the pole out, peg it to the floor, and I've moved the pole to the back to that other tie-out point to give me a bit more interior space. Slightly different, but it still works. It's more tent-like. If the weather wasn't so good, this would probably be a better option. Yeah, I've still got loads of room. Still plenty of room to sit up. Obviously it's a bit more enclosed now. If I was cooking, just making a drink or whatever, I'd have to be a bit more cautious. I'd probably do it, just outside the door. But that's a compromise that's worth it. If the weather's a bit crappy, this is obviously going to keep a lot more wind and rain out. Moving the walking pole to the back there, I've gained height here, so I've got more overall space and headroom. This is okay. Right, I really am going to have to pack up this time. Otherwise, I'll be here all morning, buggering about, trying different shapes. It is a constant quest of mine to come up with something different. But it's tough. It really is tough. There's only so many shapes you can make. You've only got so many loops, so many poles. I want to keep it sensible, easy to do, something I can do in a hurry if necessary, something I could potentially show you and you can follow and do fairly easily. I don't like complicated. I'm all for keeping it simple. Right, I'm off. Thanks for watching.